All right, and we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the final part of the show, we are going to take a look ahead to the playoff matchups for this weekend. So you got 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday. Um, this is one of the best weekends in football, if not the best weekend. So let's get into them. So obviously, we'll go through Saturday's games first. So you have the Texans and the Ravens. So this will be in Baltimore, of course, Ravens being the number 1 seed. Now, these teams did meet all the way back in the first week of the regular season. And obviously, that was C.J. Stroud's NFL debut. Lamar Jackson obviously getting used to his new offense. And yeah, I mean, both quarterbacks did not light up the stat sheet. Stroud went 28 of 44 for 242 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Did lose a fumble in the game. And then as for Lamar Jackson, 17 of 22, 169 yards, no touchdowns, and a pick. And the Ravens won that game 25-9. Actually, the score at the half was 7-6. Now, since then, these teams are completely different. Obviously C.J. Stroud has gone on to have a great rookie season. Lamar Jackson, an MVP season for him, if he ends up being the MVP winner. But yeah, I mean right now, and actually right now the Texans are 9.5 point underdogs or 9 point underdogs, depending on what you're looking at. The Packers actually 9.5 point underdogs. Again, this is off of CBS. Yeah, I mean, these teams are different. Now, the Ravens, they went on to finish with the best record in the AFC. The Texans, they won the AFC South. So I'm curious to see how this rematch is going to go. I know. I mean, again, I'm just hoping for good games. That's is that too much to ask for? But yeah, I mean, listen, Stroud played really well at home against the Browns last week, but there have been times where he's struggled on the road, and this is a hostile environment that he will be playing in Baltimore, and obviously, the last time Lamar Jackson played in a home playoff game, they lost to the Tennessee Titans, and Derrick Henry ran all over them. Now, that's not going to happen here, but, this Texans offense can put up some points. And, the way Stroud's been playing, and, they've been able to run the football a little bit better as the year's gone on. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough game. But, the Ravens were the number 1 seed for a reason. We're going to get a different game than we did in week 1. There's going to be more scoring. Now, can be a blowout possibly for the Ravens, but then again, you go back to, like I said, the last time Lamar Jackson played a home playoff game, he did not play well. Now, I think that's in the back of his mind, and I think he knows that. Now, at least he got over the hump a year later when he won his first playoff game against the Titans in Tennessee. But that was a couple years ago now, and the last 2 years he's been hurt, and that's hurt the Ravens, and their chances of making the playoffs. I mean, well, they did make the playoffs last year, but Tyler Huntley had to start. For this year though, Lamar Jackson was healthy, and now we'll see what happens in this home playoff game. But yeah, 25-9. It's not going to be 25-9. That's it's not going to happen. So then you also have, actually, we'll go to the games on Sunday because those are regular season rematches. So then you have the Bucs and the Lions. Now they met earlier in the season, back in Week 6, and that was when before that I came out with the video. The episode where I was saying, are the Buccaneers legit? Because Baker was playing well. They were 3-1. And then the Lions ended up winning 20-6. And the crazy thing is, with this game, is David Montgomery got hurt in the game, I believe, so they pretty much didn't have him. He only had 14 yards rushing in the game, and also Jahmyr Gibbs didn't play in the game either. And the Lions, still won. They still were in control that whole game, and they won by 2 scores. Jared Goff threw for 353 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Craig Reynolds actually was their leading rusher, but he only had 15 yards rushing. Amon-Ra St. Brown had a good game. He had 12 receptions for 124 yards and a touchdown. Jameson Williams had a touchdown. That was a 45-yard touchdown reception. And then Baker Mayfield had a rough game. 19 to 37, 206 yards, no touchdowns, and a pick. They didn't really run the ball, the Bucs, and that's been a problem for them. And they're going to have to do that in this game against the Lions. They got to be balanced here. Chris Godwin was their leading receiver, 77 yards. They're going to have to keep up with this Lions offense, this weekend in Detroit. Now the game's in Detroit. This game was in Tampa. And actually, funny thing with that, so a reporter asked Todd Bowles how is he going to get his team prepared for the cold weather. And I guess the reporter didn't realize that the Lions play indoors. So he said, yeah, the only time we're really going to be outside is the 20 seconds we're getting, off the bus. So, yeah, that was interesting. But yeah, this game's going to be indoors. And I think there's going to be a lot of points scored. Again, similar to like the first game I just talked about, this game it's going to be more than just 20-6. You're going to see a lot of points scored in this game. We'll see. Listen, and I think the Bucs offensive line did a good job protecting Baker at times. Giving him time to throw. Although, he did get sacked 4 times, and you do worry about that going up against the Lions and obviously Aiden Hutchinson. So if the Bucs offensive line can hold up, Baker's just got to find his targets, and they just got to hold on to the ball because, like I said, drops were a problem. We'll see in this rematch. But the thing is now, Lions are going to have Jahmyr Gibbs. They're going to have David Montgomery for this game. The Buccaneers didn't have to deal with Jahmyr Gibbs the last time. Now Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be playing in this game, and he's going to be a problem. But the Bucs do a good job at stopping the run, so we'll see. But I think it's going to be a problem. So then the third rematch in the regular season, from the regular season, is you got the Bills and the Chiefs. Now, there was a lot of controversy after this. Well, not that it was really controversy, but you had to play with Kadarius Toney, with his foot being past the line of scrimmage, and obviously the offensive offsides penalty was called, and it was the right call. But of course, you had Patrick Mahomes, going on this tirade and throwing his helmet on the ground, and it looked like he wanted to fight the ref after the game. But the Bills, and that game basically started the Bills, run to the playoffs. That was an important game for them. The Bills won 20-17. Josh Allen went 23 of 42 for 233 yards, 1 touchdown and a pick. Patrick Mahomes had 271 yards, 1 touchdown and a pick as well. That basically got the Bills' run started. Because, at 6-6, you thought, this is it might not be the year for the Bills to make the playoffs. And then they came out of the bye, and they won 5 straight to finish off the regular season. And then they beat the Steelers by a couple of scores this past weekend. But now this game is going to be played in Buffalo, which is going to be interesting because the last time these two teams played in Buffalo, I brought this up, it was back in 2020, and there was no crowd or anything. Now you're going to have a crowd for this game, and it's in the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes has never played in a road playoff game. This game's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait for this game. Are we going to see another 42-36 game, like I said? Maybe. I hope we do. But, listen, can't say no to another Mahomes-Allen playoff matchup. Really looking forward to that. But, it's weird because the Chiefs have kind of owned the Bills in the postseason, but the Bills have owned the Chiefs in the regular season. Because you go back to last year, they won in the regular season. The year before that, the Bills won in the regular season. The Chiefs did win in 2020, both games. But still, in Arrowhead, the Bills in the regular season, they have owned the Chiefs. But now we'll see what happens now with this game being played in Buffalo. So those are the three matchups from this regular season. Now we got the last matchup I want to talk about, which wasn't a matchup from this year, wasn't a matchup from last year, but has been a matchup in the playoffs. Um, you know, over the years, and being an Aaron Rodgers fan, it's been rough whenever the Packers would go up against the San Francisco 49ers. I actually watched the highlights from the wild card matchup back in the 2013-2014 season. That was in Lambeau. That was the year Rodgers broke his collarbone. And, obviously the week before that game, you had that dramatic game-winning play, Rodgers throwing to Randall Cobb for the game-winning touchdown to win the NFC North, and then they hosted. And the Packers were 8-1 that season, and the Niners had to go on the road. But yeah, you had that game. You had the playoff game the year before that with Kaepernick's playoff debut, and he ran all over the Packers defense. They had no answers for Kaepernick. And then, of course, in the Jimmy Garoppolo era, you had Raheem Mostert running for over 200 yards against the Packers. And then, of course, when Rodgers was the 1 seed, his second MVP. Well, in the back-to-back, of course. I know he has 4, but his second MVP season in a row. The Niners won that game 13-10, and partly because they blocked a punt that they scored a touchdown on. That final score ended up being 13-10. So yeah, and then there was the regular season matchup that year, which was one of the best games, of that season. Rodgers had that game-winning drive. It was him and Davante Adams, really. 2 Davante Adams receptions, and then Mason Crosby kicked the field goal to win the game there. And that was in San Francisco. That was a good game. But other than that, the 49ers have kind of owned the Packers in recent years. But this is going to be different now, because now you got Jordan Love as the quarterback here. It's a young team. It's the youngest team in the NFL. Average year of 25, right? So I'm curious to see how this is going to go. I will say, it's going to be different for the Niners because, now you're game planning for a different quarterback, and, Jordan Love is spreading the ball around. And listen, the offensive line did a good job against the Dallas defense on Sunday. This is different now. Now you got to deal with Bosa and Chase Young. You had to deal with Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, but now you got to deal with Nick Bosa, Armstead, Chase Young. You got Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw back there. But listen, I think that the Packers can find success because we've seen the 49ers defense struggle this year. If the Packers can protect Jordan Love and give him time, that the back end of the 49ers defense is a concern. And I feel like Jordan Love can maybe exploit that if he's able to. Now, I'm not saying that the Packers are going to win this game, but I'm just saying that's something to keep an eye on. I think this game has a potential to be good as well, because Jordan Love is coming in playing his best football, and the 49ers, they're definitely going to be more. Kyle Shanahan was talking about it when he met with the media that, he started preparing, once it was like 27-0. He started preparing for the Packers once it was 27-0. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what how they prepare for this, what their game plan is for this Packers, this new look Packers team. So, but yeah, with that is all the time that we have for today. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back again 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. So until then, I'm Kenneth Grunfelder signing off from the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care.